Coming up, savings and loans companies advocate for common clearinghouse with finance houses. Also coming up, GRA closes shops and arrests some owners at Osu and Kuala, as well as East Legon for non-compliance. Plus, Cocoa Processing Company seeks Afrexim Bank loan to revive company's dwindling fortunes.
Our net worth was not in the position for Afrexim Bank to take a decision to give us the money. Now that way is clear.
These and many other stories coming shortly. We'll bring you details. Please stay. Thanks for staying. Now to our very first story. The Ghana Association of Savings and Loans Companies, GASALC, has come out with a number of strategic regulatory priorities aimed at reshaping the savings and loans and finance houses space in the country. GASALC is calling for the establishment of a common clearinghouse aimed at boosting efficiency and reducing risk within the specialized deposit-taking and non-bank financial institution space. Tinubu Akodiabuache is the Executive Secretary of the Ghana Association of Savings and Loans Companies.
It is time for us to have a second look at the financial architecture of the non-bank sector in Ghana. We need to have dedicated service for all the non-banks in Ghana. We need to consolidate the gains in the sector. And one of the key things we think we can do to support the non-bank sector is a dedicated clearinghouse for all the non-bank sector, especially savings and loans and finance houses who serve in excess of 6 million clients, operates within all the 16 regions of the country, and also control an asset in excess of 9 billion Ghana cedi. And so it is time. It will help us to increase the rate at which we process our checks, also help with overnight lending, as well as helping each other player consolidate the gains we have in the space.
Tinubu Akodiabuache, Executive Secretary of the Ghana Association of Savings and Loans Companies there. To some other story, the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, has arrested 8 shop owners and closed 2 shops following their enforcement exercise on the issuance of the VAT invoices. Assistant Commissioner of the Accra Area Enforcement Team, Joseph Annan, is encouraging business owners who have not registered for VAT to do so or face the law. The Compliance and Enforcement Unit visited 10 retail facilities within Osu and East Legon as part of their text purchase exercise.
We went to Tropical Enclave. They are doing non-issuance of the invoice. That is the infraction. Then we went to Golden Crystal, and then they are issuing their own invoice. It's the same non-issuance. Then we went to Hilton View Hotel. They are not registered. Brands Less for Kids. They are not registered. We came to Party Tree, then Lupita Collection. Then we came to Limpa Fabrics and Accessories. They are also not registered. And then we are at Precious Fabrics. Then Sheets and Towels Enterprise. They are also not registered.
The Compliance and Enforcement Team of the Ghana Revenue Authority, as part of its second phase of monitoring, paid unannounced visits to some retail shops, proven to have defaulted in issuing VAT invoices, with some registered or not registered. Assistant Commissioner of the Enforcement Team, Joseph Annan, says the authority is working to show up the revenue levels of the country.
As we went to just a small area, and you realize that many of them are not registered. It's an issue we need to tackle. So what we have to do is, every area has our office, what we call the TSC, who are responsible for the area. So what we need to do is to probably get the TSC, who is responsible for East Legon, to really lace its boots, so that they will make sure that things are done and are done well.
A report by my colleague, Nana Ekuya Mensa Abrampa. Now to some other story. In a bid to improve its productivity, the Cocoa Processing Company, CPC, is seeking a loan support to the tune of $87 million from the Afrexim Bank. According to the company, the facility will help eliminate its current challenges as well as enhance revenues and profits. This was made known at the CPC's annual general meeting. The following report has more. Cocoa Processing Company, CPC, in 2020 appealed to President Akufo-Addo to help it deal with a legacy debt of $87 million it owed Cocoa Board. In 2022, the company and Cocoa Board agreed on a debt equity swap in order for it to unlock the Afrexim Bank facility. Speaking at the AGM, Chairman of CPC, Kweku Owusu-Baa, said the loan is critical to improving cocoa beans processing from the current 13,097 metric tons.
We had a meeting with the Minister of Agri, and among the other things, he also reminded us about this, that SOEs may not be allowed to borrow. But we also reminded him about the ongoing Afrexim Bank thing. And he asked us to go on with it, I think the processes. So it's not lost yet. It's delayed because our net worth was not in a position for Afrexim Bank to take a decision to give us the money. Now that way is cleared, and hopefully the process will move faster.
Meanwhile, Acting Managing Director of CPC, Dr. Frank Edu-Asante, expressed optimism that his outfit was on the path to recovery, with some initiatives being embarked upon.
The new spread factory, which I'm sure you have seen, which has already been test run, will be fully operational in the coming year. Again, 7 out of 10 new packaging machines for the packing of various sizes of our drinking cocoa and confectionery products will be fully operationalized. A new 3 metric ton per hour coarse and fine milling machine to process a minimum of 25,000 metric tons of beans will be installed and commissioned.
Due to some operational losses resulting from the challenges faced CPC, the company says it is unable to pay dividends to its shareholders for the 2021-2022 financial year. And that was a Business Desk report. Remember, this is still business news on Sunrise with me, Bismarck Ausa. To some other story, economist Dr. Saad Idrisu has attributed Ghana's poor ranking on African countries with the highest GDP per capita to low technological advancement in the manufacturing sector. Ghana has missed out on a ranking that sought to collate the top 10 African countries with the highest gross domestic product GDP per capita. This is notwithstanding being the second biggest economy in West Africa after Nigeria and having one of the biggest GDP values, approximately $72 billion on the African continent. Economist Dr. Saad Idrisu is calling for a review of the government's much-touted One District, One Factory program.
Trading Economics is a data platform. They actually ranked Ghana on the 18th position in terms of GDP per capita within the African continent. Ghana didn't make it to the top 10, so we had the 18th position with a GDP per capita of around 2,000. So now if you come to look at our GDP itself, we had a GDP of around $72 billion by the end of December 2022. But if you bring it down to per capita terms, we actually didn't make it to the top 10. And most of the times with the economic literature, lower GDP per capita indicates signs of older technology in terms of production activity. So we'll have to see how to be able to channel new technologies into our productive efforts in Ghana. For example, manufacturing, mining, even 1G, 1F. What are the technological progression that government is trying to bring in so that we'll be able to increase production or we'll be able to increase our income in that area. So I think that should be the new focus of government going forward. Because if you compare advanced or developing countries, even with bigger populations, they are still able to maintain higher GDP per capita due to technological advancements.
That was economist Dr. Saad Idrisu. Now, countries sharing boundaries with the sea boast of a vibrant blue economy, but dwindling fish stock is having negative effects on both local and national economies. A lecturer at the Department of Marine and Fisheries Sciences at the University of Ghana, Dr. Edem Mahu, agrees an effective closed season in Ghana should coincide with that of the ECOWAS sub-region.
considering the fact that fish are transboundary resources. They are very mobile. They move from one region to the other. And so that is number one. So if you are closing the fishery in Ghana, it doesn't mean that you are locking the sea or something only in Ghana. They will be able to move to other parts of the region or within the Gulf of Guinea. And so if we are doing this in solo, we might not be able to get effective the impact that we ought to create because we are just looking at one country. So we need to really expand this to other countries. We need to expand this to the neighboring countries and make sure that we are doing this together. That way, the impact will even be bigger and better. So it just means that we need to talk more with our neighbors. We need to work together, and that can be done.
A lecturer at the Department of Marine and Fisheries Sciences at the University of Ghana, Dr. Edem Mahu there. Before we go, let's take a look at how the cedi is faring against major trading currencies and how some key commodities are faring on the global market.
On the interbank foreign exchange market, where banks trade amongst themselves, the dollar recorded no price change and is selling at 11 cedis 2 pesos. The British pound lost 4 pesos, selling at 14 cedis 96 pesos. The euro is selling at 11 cedis 95 pesos. It lost 9 pesos. However, be guided that these figures will be higher at a forex bureau near you. On the global commodities market, price of cocoa is down by 0.03%, selling at $3,638 per ton. The price of Brent crude oil is up by 1.16%, selling now at about $87 per barrel, while the price of an ounce of gold is down by 0.05%, selling at $1,941.
And that was an update of the commodities and forex markets, ending the business news with me, Bismarck Ausa. For more business stories, please log on to 3news.com. Ureku Ampofo is here for the sports.